Hi everybody! In this video, I'm going to be going through the notes for lesson 8.11, which is about graphing equations when they are in slope-intercept form. Now, you may have heard about slope-intercept form before. It's pretty famous, and a lot of people remember learning it as y equals mx plus b. The important thing about what makes this slope-intercept form is that the y is alone. Now, in this type of equation, there's going to be two key numbers that you need to find. The first number is your m, and the second number is your b. Now, this symbol right here, it might be a plus or it might be a minus. It just depends on the problem. So let's talk about m. What is m? M is your slope. M is always the coefficient of x. That means that if you look at x, it's the number right before the x. M is always a fraction, and if it's not a fraction, you're going to make it a fraction by putting a 1 on the bottom. And this is very important, it is not always the first number in the equation. The m could be at the beginning or it could be at the middle of the equation. We're going to know which number is the m because it is always right before the x. The second number that's in this equation is the b. Let's talk about what the b is. B is the y-intercept. It is a point where the x is always 0, and the missing number here is the b from the equation. It is not always the last number. It could be at the beginning of the equation. It's just going to be the number that is not the coefficient of x. It's not the number right before x. And when we graph the b and we put it on our graph paper, because it is the y-intercept, the point that we graph will always be on the y-axis. So let's practice finding the m and the b. Let's actually start with problem number 2, and we'll come back to problem number 1 in a minute. So in our minds, we're going to say the words y equals mx plus b. Mx. So right above the x and the number, I'm going to write mx plus b. I'm going to line that up. That tells me my m, which is my slope, is 2 over 7. And my b, which is my y-intercept, is 0, -1. Now let's go back and look at number 1. Number 1 is a little tricky because instead of the x being at the beginning of the equation, it's actually at the end. But the good news is we can do this problem the same way. Instead of writing the mx at the beginning, I'm going to write mx above the x and the b above the 3. Now you might be thinking, what number is before x? We need to remember that if there's no number, it's always a -1. So my slope would be -1, and I'm going to make that a fraction by putting it over 1. The b is 3, so my y-intercept is 0, 3. Let's try another one that's a little tricky. So problem number 3, again, I'm just going to line everything up, my mx and my b. Mx plus b is the other guy. M is 5. So my slope is 5, and I'm going to make that a fraction by putting it over 1. B is my y-intercept. So I'm going to have 0 and 2/3. Last but not least, problem number 4. I'm going to line everything up. mx plus b. My m is the number right before x, and remember, we always need to remember that that's a -1 over 1. And my b is -7. So how does this help us make a graph? Well, first we're going to find our m and our b in our equation. So we're going to identify our slope, and we're going to identify our y-intercept. So I'm going to write mx plus b. Now my m is -5, so my slope will be m equals -5 over 1. And my b is 3, so I would write 0, 3. The y-intercept tells me where to start. And when I graph a y-intercept, I'm always going to be starting on the y-axis. So I'm going to go to the 0, 3. My slope tells me how to move. The top number tells me to go downwards 5 spaces, and the bottom number is always going to take me to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to the right 1. Then I'm just going to connect my dots with a nice straight line. For problem number 6, I'm going to line everything up. mx plus b. My m is 3 over 2. And my b, which is my y-intercept, is 0, 4. So I'm going to begin on my y-axis. 0, 4. My slope is going to tell me the rise, which is positive, so I'm going to go up, and the run, which is always to the right. 1, 2, 3 is a little bit off the graph paper, over 2. If I reverse that, I would just go left 2 and then down 3. Left 2, down 3. Left 2, down 3. And there we go. All right, that's it for today's lesson. Thank you guys so much for watching and learning how to graph in slope-intercept form. Please try your practice.